This morning, police in Connecticut appear to be closing in on a suspect in the murder of Yale student Annie Lay. Last night, hundreds of her friends and family turned out for a candlelight vigil to remember her. Joining us this morning exclusively, one of Annie's very close friends, Mackenzie Fisk, and also with us, criminal profiler Casey Jordan. Ladies, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Mackenzie, let me begin with you. I know how hard this is for you. I can see that your emotions are still raw. You've been through sort of a roller coaster of emotions as you've described it. Where are you this morning?
I think that I've gotten over the shock of it actually happening, and I'm more angry than anything else that such a sweet person was taken so early.
Can you give me one story or one experience that you think encapsulates Annie?
Actually, I was speaking to my brother last night, who was also very good friends with her, and we were kind of talking about different stories and how we remembered her. And when I first got to Rochester, actually,
because you guys went to college there together.
We did. We went to college together at the University of Rochester, and I got there as a freshman when Annie was a sophomore and my brother was a senior. So we all sat down at a meal together, and they were warning me about the perils of college in general. And there was a bridge linking the campus of Rochester to a town, a bad part of town. Mm-hmm. So on that side of, so we have the campus here and the bad part of town linked by a bridge. And there are a couple of frats across this bridge in the bad part of town. And he was just like, Kenzie, don't ever go across this bridge. I was like, okay, you know, and I took heed of that warning. And she was like, and if you do, because I think you will at some point.
To go to the frats.
Right. She was like, if you have to come back by yourself, give me a call. And it was just like, Annie, you know, I don't think there's going to be much you can do. You're so tiny. And she was like, no, but I'll call everyone that I know. So that's just
selfless.
Very
safety conscious. Ironic that she was so safety conscious, and this happened to her in a place, Casey, where she was supposed to be safe, her own work, where you needed ID to get in.
Right, and that's why we're pretty convinced that whatever suspects there are probably people who also had access to the building, because security in that building was very tight. But it also probably gives people a false sense of confidence. They don't need their street smarts when they're inside a security building that had over 75 cameras around it. So in many ways, people put their guard down. And in speaking to Kenzie, she says that Annie was so sweet and would never be rude to anyone, not gullible, but trusting and always polite. And that's another thing. When people always feel like they can never cause a scene or shouldn't suspect the people that they might be familiar with of ever causing them harm, that is one of the biggest mistakes that people make when they're victims of violent crime.
They have this possible suspect now, this lab tech who worked with him. They're waiting for the DNA to come back on the bloody clothing to see if they can officially link him. Do you think the fact that it was so close to her wedding is just a coincidence? Do you think maybe whoever did this was trying to stop that wedding?
You know, it's a nice theory, but until we know the actual manner of death and find out a little bit more about how well the suspect, who may in fact be cleared, but whoever the killer is, how well did they know each other? Very often these things are precipitated through just ignorance, and in exchange where you think might be friendly and polite to somebody else might be extremely meaningful. And for somebody who may have been, I don't want to say obsessed, but very preoccupied with her, who may have been rebuffed by her, or simply if there was a scene that they wanted to quiet or get rid of. I don't think it was premeditated in any way. Too many clues left behind, too much security, but at the same time, I'm quite sure that the victim and her killer did know each other in some capacity.
Kenzie, let me give you the last word. I only have a few seconds, and I want you to take that time to just tell us how you'll remember her.
Really is one of the sweetest people that could have ever been in my life and graced this earth. So I hope that she's remembered as the person that she was instead of for this crime.
All right, Kenzie Fisk, thank you so much. Casey Jordan, thank you as well.
It was great to be here.
Thanks.